Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the God Roll Podcast, Episode 5. Happy Veterans Day for us over here in the United States, and happy Remembrance Day for some of our Canadian listeners. We have a bit of a Canadian bias. Please raise your hand, Mac.
I already did. I waved
Well,
it. Shook it.
for today's episode, we kind of got a little bit of nostalgia. We had some nostalgia bait happen over the weekend, some rose tinted glasses and whatnot. The anniversary of Halo 2 had just happened. Just,
Oh, sorry. Can I interrupt you really quick, Ian?
yeah.
Sorry. Just because I already had this written in the show notes, and that was before we decided you were going to host this episode. So for those who have noticed, we still don't have Josh. So big update. Josh is going to be taking a break from the podcast for a while. We are looking for a new co-host, but if we don't, then me and Ian will do a little bit of restructuring, and it'll just be the two of us. Yeah, just wanted to put that out there, just so people weren't wondering why it's just the two of us again. Josh has been very busy with work. He is a military man, and he's got a lot going on with his home life. He's very busy, very busy. Doesn't have a lot.
Everyone
Of time.
thank Josh down in the comments for his service. Thank you,
Yes,
Josh.
thank you, Josh. Thank you for your cervix, and then happy Remembrance Day and happy Veterans Day, everyone.
I'm sad without him. Anyway,
We love you, Josh, if you're watching. Which you
oh
better
yeah,
be. You better watch every episode you're not in. You have no excuse.
he has no excuse. He helped create this.
Yeah, like if I ever miss an episode, I'll watch that episode. Any episode I'm in, though, I ain't watching it.
No, I helped make it. I'm not watching. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
I edited it, so I don't need to watch it 4 times.
I'm just kidding. We always got a view. We got to support our own product. Get high on our own supply. Anyway, getting back to the brass tacks. Halo 2's anniversary was just celebrated this weekend.
Woo!
And it's very monumentous for, say, Mac and myself, because we all grew up playing the early Halo games. Now, here we are 2 decades later. The fact that they are called retro now because something has to be at least 15 years old to be retro.
Yeah, we looked it
So
up, people.
we like I still think of like, oh, I remember back when I used to play Halo. It's like, hey, buddy, Xboxes are in museums now. I'm like, oh no, I need health insurance now. So, and for the niche people in the crowd, the PS2 exclusive Jack 3 also released the same day as Halo 2 in 2004, which is insanity. We on one spectrum, the greatest shooter of all time, and on the other spectrum, a game that Naughty Dog and Sony need to desperately revive an IP with. I'm just saying, Sony, come on, let's do something. Naughty Dog, come on, chop and block, let's do it. But that prompted today's presentation for, hey, let's think about some games that we used to play that are considered retro now. And that pretty much leaves the door open for any first release Xbox games, basically anything from 2005 and newer and later. So also like GameCube, the PS2, like it's hard to think that these are retro games now, but then you have some of the people in our lives who are maybe 40 or 50 and they remember their N64, their Dreamcast, or their NES. So it's just like they're probably thinking the same thing as us. Well, oh, I used to play Mario back in the day. They can't be that old. And then all of a sudden, their Super Nintendo is also in a museum. So I mean, it's kind of weird to think about nowadays, but that's just the fact of the matter of where we are. So today's conversation, we're going to talk about some games that we don't immediately think about as being retro, but they're definitely retro now. So with that being
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry.
with that being said, Mac, I want to get some of your input.
Okay.
Now, before we turn the camera on, we wrote down a list of some things, and I can't think of a really good segue to ask you about these things. But I know what Metroid is, but Metroid Prime, GameCube, lay it on us. I want to know.
Okay, Ian, we got to get you to host more often. You're way better. You're way better at this than I am.
Hey, man, I yap.
All right. So Metroid Prime. Yeah, GameCube, 2003, 2004, 2005. Hold on. I need to Google this.
We probably should have fact checked this before.
I have the dates for everything else but Metroid Prime. I
Oh,
should
you
know
do.
this.
Thank God.
I'm pretty sure it's 2005. Oh, I'm so wrong. It's 2002. It was the year after Halo Combat Evolved. Ah, wow. It is just such a good looking game. I thought it was newer. So that's my segue into why it's such a good game and so English hard, as we saw in last episode with my extreme stutter. So yeah, Metroid Prime, 2002 game for GameCube, amazing game. Probably my favorite FPS besides the original Halo and Halo 2, from that era, I should say. Obviously not a standard first-person shooter. It had a lock-on system, and it wasn't really... You couldn't even look up. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but on the GameCube, you could not look up in that game. You could only look left and right, and then lock on, and then you had to go into a free aim mode to look everywhere. You couldn't just look up and down regularly. But yeah, it's a Metroidvania, first-person Metroidvania game, so it was pretty... It's pretty awesome for its time, and it still holds up to this day. It still looks great. The remastered version is also really good. The thing that stuck out to me the most, and I think why it's the most memorable for me, is the music. The Metroid Prime themes, or like the start menu and then the main theme, are some of the best video game songs I've heard ever. Just that mix of like synthy sci-fi with like these beeps and boops and like warbled and garbled, instruments. It's so good. It kind of reminds me, like, the music reminds me of H.R. Geiger in a way. Like, it almost reminds me of like what an Alien soundtrack should sound like, if it wasn't just horror focused. It's got like that biomechanical vibe to it. I really like it. It bangs too, like.
It bangs.
Yeah, like, and each game in the series, like 1, 2, and 3, they're all good. They each get it. Well, 3 you can argue is probably the worst because that's the one that was on the Wii, and they changed it to the Wii controls, which people did like. People really did like the Wii controls, but they said that it kind of dumbed down the gameplay. So that's why I chose the first game, because the second game is just like the first game but harder. But the first game was just, I think, peak Metroid. Obviously, I didn't play any of the previous Metroids before that because I was too young. That game, Metroid Prime, came out when I was 2 years old, so I only played it when I was like 6, 7, or something like that. It's the first time I played it, I think. So a while after it came out, like all 3 games I think released by the time I remember playing the first one. But the first one stuck with me the most. Especially that first level, probably the best intro level to a FPS game ever. That's infinitely replayable. I could infinitely replay that. I will never get sick of that intro level. It's a good tutorial. It doesn't, drag. It's perfect length. Nice little easy, and not too complicated boss fight at the end. That does have a little bit of a skill. A skill check there, so like I'm pretty sure there's like a little trick you can do to kill the boss in like 2 seconds compared to having to repeat the mechanics. I could be wrong. Correct me in the bottom. It's been a while since I played. But yeah, Metroid Prime, so good. I couldn't say more good things about it.
Have you played its remaster by chance?
Yeah, I have it on.
Switch.
I don't have it on PC. I have it on Switch.
Very good. And does it feel the same as it did back in the day?
It feels better because you can. They updated the controls so you could actually fully look around and everything. But they also added the classic controls as well, so you can play it classically or you can have updated FPS controls.
So it's kind of like Halo 2 and Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, where you could switch between classic and regular or updated graphics.
Not graphics. I just mean controls.
Well, I was referencing the switch from legacy to remastered.
Yeah, but you still have to go into the menu to switch it. You can't just like press of a button switch it like with.
Oh, so it's not seamless. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at some comparison screenshots, and it looks really good.
Uh, the remaster looks like what the original game looked like to me as a kid. You know, like that's how
Yeah,
good of a remaster it is. Like that's what I imagined the game looked like as a kid. Like that's how good it looked. Because
I feel
like,
like I feel like that's how we all imagine some of our
oh yeah,
nostalgia games. It's like, oh, like Destiny 1 isn't quite retro yet, but that was one of our earlier episodes where it turned 10 years old the day that we record, just shortly after we recorded that episode.
we're doing a lot of
And
anniversary episodes.
oh yeah, that's weird. It's perfect timing, I guess. But like there's some videos where people are doing comparisons like, wow, this holds up better than Destiny 2. So it's like that's a whole topic for another day, like, the death of people or developers caring about the graphic fidelity, but right now we're talking about the good old days. So think nostalgic thoughts. Put on our rose tinted glasses. Put on your rose tinted glasses. Very good. But wow, I'm kind of looking at this
Oh
comparison on it.
yeah,
Oh,
best way to play it right now is the remastered version. Go buy it on Switch. Keep a physical copy. Buy your games physically, everybody. Steam just announced that you do not own your games. They can take them away at any time and you can't do anything about it. So, buy your games physical. Resist. As much as you can resist.
licensure, you gotta love it.
Go out, buy all these PS2 games and Xbox games and GameCube games that we are talking about today as soon as you can before they get extremely overpriced and people finally realize, oh yeah, maybe we should, buy and preserve the physical copies before you can't buy it digitally ever.
And that actually brings up a topic I want to talk about because um, most of these games, like a majority of these games that we're going to talk about, um, I miss the days of manuals. Like when you'd open up a game and you'd open it up and it'd give you a tutorial manual. Like for Halo Combat Evolved, this is our here's your segue for Combat Evolved. Um, in some of the original, especially the Platinum release, where it's the nice silver case, you'd go to open it up, and Bungie took the time to make the weapon models and put them in, or put the weapon models in the manual, and you could look at them. It's like, oh, this is the sniper, this is and then it shows you your enemies, and then
You just
like
unlocked a core
tells you
memory for me.
exactly, but and then it shows you how like everything you need to know about the game. Now, of course, there were strategy guides back in the day that told you how to do everything, but a little manual that tells you, hey, this is what your health kit looks like. This is what your enemies are. This is basically like it.
Sorry, my
I
voice
can't.
died.
I'm pretty sure it was the Halo 2 manual that told us their names,
Yep.
and that's how I learned that the elites were known as the Sangheili or Brutes or Jiralhanae.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you is that my core memory is I remember going up to my uncle with the Halo 2 manual and or it was either the Halo 1 or Halo 2 manual and helping him or getting him to help me pronounce the enemy names because I was that young. I couldn't read. So like I would go up to him and I was like, "What does this say?" And he's like, "That says elite." And I'm like, "Whoa, that's an elite? That's so cool." Like I vividly remember that, and I remember it was because it was my uncle's friend who owned Halo 2, and we only had the original Halo on Xbox at the time because it was my first console that I remember getting, like my dad getting for me and my brother specifically. Well, I mean, my brother was actually just born or something, so maybe it was just for me. Um, and Halo was my favorite game on it. Weirdly enough, I was like 5 or something, and they were giving me Halo to play, which I don't. I mean, my dad was letting me play Predator Concrete Jungle when I was like 10. So you skin people alive and rip their heads off in that game.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I tangent and now lost my train of thought. Halo.
Well, you were going into some nostalgia, a blast from the past because we're talking about manuals and how games don't
Yeah,
just ship
manuals
with manuals
rules.
anymore. Like I'm graciously enough, someone on r/Halo, I think it was yeah, r/Halo, like right here it tells you how like capture the flag, King of the Hill, Slayer, Oddball, Race, Project, the credits. It gives you the names of all the people who worked on this game, and now you're being told by Steam that you don't necessarily own it, even you just own the license for it.
Oh, I
So
remember what I was
like,
gonna say. Literally, all I was gonna say was just my uncle's friend ended up giving me Halo 2 as a gift because of how much I loved it, and then that's when I went to him with the manual and was like, "Hey, what are these? Help me! Like, what does it say?"
help me weed.
Yeah, so that's how young I was when I was playing Halo 2 and Halo. Um,
Yeah, same. Like instead of talking to girls back in 2005, 6, 7, 8,
Girls
9.
who I don't like cooties, so I don't fuck with cooties.
Girls? Nah, I need to defend Earth.
I don't have time for girls. I'm defending Earth with the boys. Thank
Um,
you.
I'm widowy a spot and soldier from Weech.
Yeah, you widowy can't even touch me right now. I'm wearing Mach 6 battle armor, Mjolnir battle armor, so you can't even like get with me right now.
Yeah, you gotta say it like Chris from Halo follower, Mjolnir.
Mjolnir?
Did you hear that, Halo follower? I just shot some shade.
Yeah, man. Make a SFM animation about us or something.
Okay, now you're going too far.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't know where that came from.
This man is going as far as he can to get
I,
beef started.
I don't know. It just he used to do Halo videos and complained about Halo, and now he's doing animations.
Hey, animations are cool.
I don't.
We know
I
we
ain't
know a
gonna hate
couple
on a
good
guy
animators.
for a pivot.
We
It's
know a couple
just
good animators.
I will admit I did see one of his shorts and I did laugh. It was like
Very good.
I don't even know if it was his original audio or something, but it was just like a because he just does like that ODST meets the Helldiver thing, and it just sometimes it was kind of cringy. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about
Being,
Halo Combat Evolved, the
yes,
best
give
Halo game. Even though
I
Halo
want
2 is my favorite Halo game, objectively, campaign wise and gameplay and just the feel, Halo Combat Evolved is the best Halo game. You cannot deny it. I'm sorry, you Halo 3
mm,
fanboys who are going to
we're
say Halo
gonna
3.
we're gonna have a chat when we get to my list. But I just want you to tell me one of the greatest or maybe earliest memories you have about Combat Evolved. Because I want to see if it compares to mine.
So earliest
Was
memory, probably getting lost on the first episode, the first level. No, not the first level, but the second level when you land on Halo.
oh yeah,
I
pretty
remember,
pretty pretty easy to do that.
yeah, I remember just being fucking blown away by the level design. Yeah, crossing the bridge, and I remember being scared to cross the bridge because I was like,
Dude, that music gets so eerie.
yeah, I was like, what's gonna happen? Like, I feel like I'm gonna get shot, and then you're driving. You're not driving. You're walking along, and then the banshee flies overhead, and you're like, ah! So I immediately pull up my pistol, and I immediately shoot the thing down and blow it up. But I'm
It goes down in 12 shots.
yeah. So then I just continue, and then there's Johnson, fighting off a little squad with some Marines out at the first little outpost there. And then you go a little further ahead, you clear out the bigger structure, and then the Warthog gets dropped off, and then you hop in the Warthog, and then you have to go through the caverns, and that's when I got lost.
This cave is not a natural formation. Okay, let
Oh,
me hit you with
really?
mine.
You don't say, Cortana.
Let me hit you with this one. Earliest memory I have of Halo Combat or of Halo CE. My brother and one of his friends, who this friend in particular, he was a very big pioneer when it came to my brother and I learning about games. Like he brought over the Xbox, the Duke. Like he brought over the Xbox when it came out, and then he then proceeded to bring us the Xbox 360 when it came out. Like I remember watching them play Gears, another game called Gun. It was like this Western shooter
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty that was that was a pretty good one.
I have it for
But
PS2.
I distinctively remember my brother and his friend playing 343 Guilty Spark and that cutscene with the elite with its chest ripped open, and then they come down, and then that door bursts open. Dude, I was probably 4 years old. I had nightmares that night.
Funny enough, I don't know if I read Nightmares. If I did, I'd probably just don't remember it. But yeah, honestly, now that you mention it, you just unlocked another core memory for me. I remember that too. Being absolutely terrified of that level and that flood.
Just hearing
Even
the boom,
not even that, but
boom.
Any flood levels terrified the shit out of me as a kid. Even the last level, Pillar of Autumn. Is the last level called Pillar of Autumn?
Yes.
Yeah. So even that terrified me because of all the flood. The Librarian. Fuck the Librarian.
Dude.
Or is the Librarian or Library? The other one.
The library.
The
The library.
library. Sorry, the Librarian is the person. The library is the place.
The library is the longest freaking mission of all time. So needlessly long for no reason because Spark needs to go open a freaking door.
Yeah, honestly, when I was a kid, that didn't even matter to me. I was just terrified of the flowers. They just keep coming. They
Now
don't stop.
I do remember hearing in interviews with Martin O'Donnell, the Bungie designer who came up with the idea of Rocket Flood. I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but I will be looking that up. And sir, you will be getting an email from me and my team asking for compensation for losing checkpoints and failing missions.
As someone who didn't play Legendary, didn't matter to me. My first game that I beat Legendary was Halo Infinite, which may be a little blasphemous since Halo was my favorite game franchise. But until recently, I didn't like difficulty in video games.
You are a story enjoyer. I can tell that. I've known that for a long time. You're a story enjoyer. I am a story enjoyer first, and then I seek out the challenge. But when Infinite came out, I did it immediately on Legendary, just so I could get as many as achievements as I could. Just because I knew at that time I wasn't gonna have a lot of time to play, and I'm glad I did it on Legendary first, because I actually wound up beating it in under 8 hours, which got me an achievement for beating it on Heroic or harder in under 8 hours. I was like, that's weird. I kept saving and quitting and playing 2 missions a day for 4 days. Well, it turns out it saved the time each time.
Don't be coy. You admitted to me you got the Scorpion cannon, so you had that shit to blow through that.
What are you talking about?
That first Banished mission where you're inside the Banished and there's like that one fucking brood in the tight hallway who always throws the fusion coil at you. That shit took me so long to get past. I think it was the first mission.
Yeah. Unrealistically long to get past.
Yeah, bro. Some parts were brutal. Like those open world sections, I just skipped. I literally just grappled everywhere. Always took the high road, skipped most of the enemy engagements if I could. Always did far distance shooting. It was still fun though. I still had fun. I think it made it more fun though. I don't think it would have been as fun if I played it on an easier difficulty.
You're like, hey, how can I avoid this combat scenario? See, now that we're talking about Halo, that just makes me want to start writing up some notes for our Halo episodes. Stay tuned for that, everybody.
Go ahead, write them down because I still want to talk about Halo combat while we're at it.
Oh yeah.
So those who know, and I'm gonna go back to saying it was the best Halo game because some of you are gonna complain because it doesn't have the best multiplayer. I understand.
Pistol OP.
Some people actually do argue that the multiplayer is better because it's super simplified. It's just weapon pickups, indestructible vehicles. You just shoot, kill, die. Super simple. It's not complicated. Super fun, actually. It's actually really fun. The worst thing about it, not a lot of customization. Even though it's the same as Halo 2. Except for Halo 2 had elites, so I guess it did have more.
Emblems, that was the only difference.
Oh, and 2 colors. You could choose 2 colors.
Primary, secondary.
True. And the colors looked better.
Yes.
Because white on Halo 1 just kind of looked like
silver.
Gray. Yeah, or silver. Yeah, it was like a metallic white, so
it was silver.
Yeah. Even though Mark V fucks. Oh, I love that. It's like the perfect blend between power armor and like
sci-fi
utility, like because it had like the pouches on the front.
I am the biggest proponent of any Halo enjoyer. Any Spartan you see on my characters that can be customized, I have pouches galore because I hate being a realist, but I love the idea. Like I hate the idea of my Spartan just having the thing, dropping a mag, getting a magazine out of nowhere, putting it in. I want to be able to imagine where that magazine came from. I want to have a bandolier of magazines so I can be like, oh, instead of just.
I agree.
Just magical.
I'm calling you up, Zach. If you watch this, Zach doesn't like the proto frames. except for Excalibur, which in a way I can kind of understand. But
Is it just because they have too much going on?
he said something that was along the lines of it just doesn't feel like Warframe. Um,
See,
he thinks it's 1999 has gone really far from.
I haven't even touched that yet. I don't even know what the 1999 stuff is.
Well, it's not out yet. It comes out this month.
Yeah, but seeing all the pre-release stuff, I still have no idea what's going on.
Have you played the most recent update where Lloyd with Lloyd not
No, nope.
Oh boy, you need to get caught up on the quests. Shit gets
But Space Marines, Mac.
dude, you've how many hours do you have in that game? You've played that so much.
I don't want to talk about it.
Unless you mean playing Deathwing Space Hulk with me, then that's acceptable.
If I describe how much time I've been playing certain games, my girlfriend will be very upset because she's like, "Oh, you can do that, but you can't text me back." Like, yes.
I could if you just played the games with me. Checkmate.
You heard it. You heard him, babe. Text me.
Text me. Get an Xbox or a PC.
Now, since we're still on the minor topic of Halo, I do wanna just pitch. I do want to mention this for our Halo episode, our dedicated Halo episode. I am heavily considering buying a whiteboard, putting her right here, and putting the whiteboard behind me, and giving her the lore breakdown of everything, the whiteboard of knowledge, because it would be so funny for the title to be forcing my girlfriend to listen to 2 hours of Halo lore.
That would be really funny. Like teaching. Fuck! I just gotta get a girlfriend because then we can have Josh on with April, you on with Maddie, and then I'll get on with my girlfriend, and we can all teach our girlfriends Halo lore.
And they'd be texting each other, "Hey, girly, what the fuck is
sorry, Josh,
Project
Josh's
Chrysanthemum?"
Josh is the only one with a wife.
Yeah, true. We keep
big ups for our mans.
We keep forgetting that we're old enough to be married now.
I was about to, but we're not talking about that.
Ripperoni.
That's for the patrons when we do that.
Yes, I do want to talk about freaking Legend of Zelda though, because I'm thinking of all these, like you mentioned Zach and whatnot. And then Zach got us, or Zach got me and my brother into the Halo lore. My brother not so much, but then Zach also wouldn't like respectfully, like if he hears this, he'll be like, "Oh, you're right," but he wouldn't shut up about Majora's Mask. So then they got my brother to play it because my brother already loved Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina, bro. Actually, you just came up with a fire like name, Ocarina.
What?
Ocarina.
I've always, however I said it, you know.
Oh well. I'm not complaining. I think that sounded sick. It just caught me off guard for a second.
Oh yeah, but you mentioned to me earlier Wind Waker. I've never played. Like I know what Wind Waker is, but I've never played it. So like, I have zero things to add to the conversation about Wind Waker. I just know its art style looked kind of goofy, but that's what its charm was for me.
Mm-hmm. People hated it. People hated the art style.
I feel unique because I didn't hate it.
Yeah, well, nobody hates it now. Everybody loves it because in hindsight, it slaps and it's also a great game. But like,
also reminded me of like
this is cartoony bullshit. Like, why do we like this is not Legend of Zelda. What is this?
It kind of, the art style kind of reminded me of like the transition from Borderlands 1 to Borderlands 2, if that kind of makes sense.
Well, because before then, it was Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. And they were...
Yeah, but that was with at the time.
So I would say that is a bigger jump between Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2.
Well,
they're still pretty similar.
Well, I mean, like just like the pen style art style. Borderlands 1 was kind of gritty comic book style, but then Borderlands 2 was a lot smoother lines, but still gritty. But that's what I'm kind of like. That's what I compared. That's what I compare Wind Waker to, because it was that pen style art style, and I liked it. But wasn't Ocarina and see, I just not caught myself saying it. Wasn't Ocarina and Majora's on the original? What weren't they 64 and 64 originally?
The Nintendo 64, which
Okay.
blew my mind when you told me that you play them on the GameCube, which we'll get to when you talk about your list. But for those who don't know, apparently Ocarina of Time and Master Quest, which I guess is just Majora's Mask with something else or something, was available on GameCube as a dual pack. So
That's
go
how
out, buy
Zach
it.
brought.
If you find it, buy it. Like no matter how much it is, buy it because that must be worth tons of money. And if you can get to play it on a newer console, why not?
That's how Zach brought it over to my brother and I. It's that's just what I thought was normal.
Hell yeah! I mean, some people play Twilight
What
Princess on
what was the
Wii.
premise? What was the premise
The
of
wrong
Wind
Wii.
Waker though?
Wind Waker. So what happens is Hyrule is flooded. So basically, the only thing left are just the tips of mountains, which just become like islands.
I am going to cut you off though because I just remembered that Legends of Zelda has three timeline branches from the original from the official
Please don't ask me about
guide.
timeline. I could
Do
not.
you not know?
I could guess. I slightly remember, but not only that, but all I know is that all the timelines converge and become the Breath of the Wild timeline, and that's all you need to
Okay.
know. That's really all you need to know.
Well, we are just talking about nostalgia today, so we don't
Yeah.
need like it's not deep dives.
No.
For all we care, it could have just been uh just a dream. For all we know, it's like, oh, I didn't know it wasn't canon. Don't quote me on that.
So the Kingdom of Hyrule is underwater, and then the only thing left are these islands, which are the tip of mountains. One of them is a volcano. The other one is just like the Deku Forest, which is where Link is from. Um, well, he lives at the beach, and the Deku Forest is further up. Anywho, so you play as Link. You're a little orphan boy who lives with your grandma and your sister on an island. And then what happens is your sister gets kidnapped by this giant bird. So your grandma is all of a sudden like, oh shit. Well, I guess you're old enough and you should know about this. Here's this green tunic that you're supposed to wear. And that's been passed down to you or it's been passed down for generations or whatever. You are the chosen one. You have to go out and find your sister and save her. And you're just like, what the heck, Grandma? Whatever. So you leave to go find your sister. You go up to the Deku Forest. Hold on, I might be getting the timeline wrong. Anyway, what you do is you end up training with a swords master in town. He gives you your first sword. You get a shield from your grandma, I believe. I believe your grandma gives you a shield. Just like a starter shield, not the Hylian shield. And then Tetra, this pirate, shows up with a bunch of other pirates, and they take you to this fortress where your sister is. You break your sister out of prison, which then gets the attention of Ganon, and then etc. Tetra reveals herself to be Princess Zelda. Hashtag spoilers. It's been 20 years. You should know by now.
It's been 20 years. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the first act, pretty much. That's about as much as I'm willing to go into it because you should play the game yourself and figure out what the rest of the game is. Sorry. But what makes it cool is the fact that it's kind of like an open world. Not really, but they're like their first attempt at open world. So there's a bunch of different islands you can sail to. And you get this boat, which is actually an animate boat. So it's like a person who's possessing a boat. King of the Sea or something. The Red Lion. King Red Lion. Red Lion.
A sentient boat is the word you were thinking of.
Yeah, he is a sentient boat. He's a boat with a talking head. Anyway, he's lit. He's awesome. He's a
dope.
bro.
He's a bro.
Yeah, he is a bro. He saves you multiple times, I believe. And then, yeah, he takes you to all these islands. You meet bird people. Oh yeah, sorry. The last game, Ocarina of Time, you played the ocarina to teleport and do all this stuff. This game, you have a wand, like a conductor at an orchestra or something, who sits at the front and conducts people by waving it and whatever. So what you do is you use this wand to conduct the wind to make music. And that's how you do the same kind of spells that you would do, quote unquote spells, that you would do in Ocarina of Time.
What's hilarious is as you were explaining that, I Googled um, a conductor wand to see what it was, see if it had a special name. It doesn't. It's called a conductor's. It's just called a conductor's wand. Like, of all the things that music has that is just unique names, there's not just like a. This isn't called like the Blargon stuff or something. Like, come on.
Yeah, and I believe like part of it is like you can use the wand to like change the direction of the wind, so you can sail to certain places because you know you can't sail into wind, right? You have to sail with the wind.
So you wake the wind, hence why you're called Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker.
Yeah, and not only that, double entendre, your boat creates wakes. Oh!
It's like when Zelda's Ocarina or Ocarina or
Ocarina.
It's like when Zelda's Ocarina manipulates time. It's like Halo when your combat is evolved.
Screws you, unevolves your combat.
Halo, peaceful resolutions. Halo, aggressive negotiations. It's just Star Wars.
I just realized that the reverse of combat evolved would just mean the same thing. Combat evolved would be peace devolved. So you're devolving peace back into combat. You know? So combat evolved. The reverse of combat evolved is still combat evolved.
Peace was never an option.
Yeah, peace was never.
Halo, peace was never an option. There's only war in the Halo universe.
In the grim future of the 41st millennium, there is only war.
Join the 501st.
Oh, sorry. In the grim dark future of the 41st millennium, there's only war.
Join the 405th. Join the 405th Marine Legion.
Join the 401st. Vader's Fist. Rise up.
501st.
What did I say?
401st.
Execute me. Put me out of my misery. I've done. I've done a disservice.
I'll give you a pass. No, I'm giving you a pass.
Ashamed. I have to seppuku. I can't.
I'm giving you a pass. Hey, I said 501st when I tried to say 405th because the Halo dig site team released the E3 demo to Halo 2, and I played it. And it's like, who was first contact? 405th out of Diego Garcia. And then the two burst battle rifle. Oh my god, the sound is so good.
I know that's not what it sounds like at all, but I tried.
What's your gun sound like? Do you not know how this game works? Okay, so when someone comes up to you and says, "What's your gun sound like?" you create just any random amalgamation of a sound. For example, if someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, Ian, what's your gun sound like?"
It took me a second to think of it, but mine is just badit.
Like me, I'll go, or
Okay, I got one then.
I ask my roommate to make a sound for me. He's like, "Hey, what's your gun sound like?" He goes, "Pew." Mine's got a silencer. I'm like, it's gangster.
I should be a SoundCloud rapper. Do ad libs.
No, please don't. I want you to have respect for yourself.
Suck it. Fuck it. You. Halo. That combat.
Do you know who else? You know who else has SoundCloud rappers? New York City. Do you know who else lives in New York City? The Ultimate Spider-Man.
Well, Brooklyn, but close enough. Not Brooklyn. Queens. I was thinking Miles Morales. Hashtag let's go. I don't know why I said hashtag. I need to stop.
Okay, so that's all the time we have for today.
Yeah, we're done. We're done at 40 minutes, 30 seconds. Thank you, everybody. This has been God Roll Podcast, hosted by Ian and Mack. Goodbye. Just kidding. No. Listeners, I apologize if that just tricked you. We are still going. So anyway,
this is why we have podcast trust issues.
Ultimate Spider-Man is an amazing game for PS2. You play as Spider-Man. Would you guess it? Yeah. Also semi-open world. I don't believe it is a full open world. Just you can swing around and do fun stuff. What is the best part about it is they let you play as Venom. And Venom, I've said this a lot this podcast, but Venom fucks. You eat a child in the game as Venom. You just like absorb him into your body and you just eat him. Yeah. You can climb on walls. He's big. He's like super buff. If you have the Fortnite skin of him, he looks like that. It's sick. He's awesome.
I feel like this is just one of those games that you kind of just loaded up when you were bored and just kind of just goofed around. Am I wrong?
You would do that, but I remember a couple of the missions weren't too bad either. You would like race the Human Torch, which is pretty cool.
Oh, no kidding.
From Fantastic Four. You could like I remember at one point you swing around and someone says something about Doctor Strange. Mentions Doctor Strange, and they just do like little shout outs to Avengers and other Marvel characters. It's pretty cool. I believe there's a mission where you have to you're like hanging out with Mary Jane and you have to I don't know, answer a call, but you don't have your suit on, so you're swinging around as Peter Parker, like a little cartoon Peter Parker. I just really love the art style too. The art style is awesome. I believe it inspired one of the animated shows later on.
Yeah,
if it didn't inspire, it at least just looks very similar.
I kind of glanced over it, but I think it said something from 2011 to 2000 something. So I think it did spark a show. But right now I'm trying to look up the one Spider-Man game where that sad Spider-Man walking meme came from, because I thought it was Ultimate Spider-Man, but it looks like it was just. What is that? Is that what it is?
Web of Shadows. That's where the meme comes from. It's like he's walking. There's like a bunch of shit going on and like exploding in the background and stuff.
I think this is also the game where the girls I think it's Mary Jane tied to a bomb. She's like, "Somebody help me!" And if you miss the quick time event, you face plant onto the ground. She goes, "I'm going to die." Then the building explodes. Oh my god! There's some of these some of these games are just actually bad, and I think this is one of them.
It's kind of funny because at the time, I tricked myself into thinking a lot of games were bad because I hated QuickTime events. If a game had a QuickTime events, I thought it was bad.
Is that why you hate Call of Duty?
I pretty much was like, no, I don't hate Call of Duty.
Okay,
I hate
good.
new Call of Duties. I'm talking about like God of War and stuff, where like QuickTime events were the main part of the game.
Dude, oh my goodness. Pressing circle in God of War 3, spoilers, to literally beat Zeus. I don't know if it's true, but my brother told me that you can indefinitely hit Zeus. Like at the end of the game of God of War 3, you can just punch Zeus constantly. And he told me that you can just do it indefinitely until you stop. Like there's a point where the game recognizes that you have completed the objective, but it doesn't force you to stop. You can keep going as much as you want.
Have you seen the Tetris guy who unlocked the new button mashing technique about like just kind of like rattling it and vibrating it on your leg or something?
Yes.
Imagine just doing that with fucking PS2.
It's like
you're just like just fucking punching him over and over again as fast as Kratos can.
Freaking slap bass a guitar.
Oh, for those who are wondering, I'm eating Doritos for the listeners.
Show the flavor so we know.
Sweet chili heat.
I like the purple bag myself.
Barbecue?
No, spicy or sweet spicy chili. I think here in the States, our bag is purple.
It's the same thing, but your bag is purple. Mine's black. Purple here is barbecue.
What? Really? That's weird.
Yeah, blue is Cool Ranch. Red is whatever. Jalapeno
Nacho
is dark green.
We should do a thing where we send each other localized food.
I'll send you Smarties, the chocolate ones, not rockets.
Chocolate Smarties.
For us, Smarties are rockets.
Oh.
Your Smarties for us are called rockets.
They're literal chalk.
And Smarties for us are kind of just Baker M&Ms.
Smarties for us is literal just chalk. I hate them.
Fruity chalk though. At least better than Valentine's Day candy.
Yeah, but at least my candy tells me that it loves me when I get it.
That's true.
Smarties does not. It really does not.
So I was talking about Wind Waker. I don't really have much more to say about it. Just play the game. It's really good.
Do you have any more to say about Spider-Man, or do you want
Oh right,
to
Spider Man. We were talking about Spider Man, not even Wind Waker. I just completely skipped.
spawn?
Honestly, no.
Someone's
I don't have much more to
someone's good.
say about Spider Man. They have good costumes. I believe you can collect comic book covers in the game, which is pretty cool. And yeah, a bunch of costumes you can try out. Play the game. It's really cool. Emulate it if you have to, or don't emulate it. Buy the game physically, but if you can't because it's really expensive or unavailable, emulate it. Any game we talk
Uh,
about, if you cannot find it, if you cannot afford it, just emulate it. If buying a game is not owning it, then piracy, then downloading the game illegally is not piracy. You know.
honestly, if the PS4, like the 2014 edition of the first edition of the PS4, if that has really good backwards compatibility for most of these PlayStation games, I'm sure that'd be the best way to go because getting a whole PS2 and then having to get the proper AV cables and whatnot, it'd just be more of a hassle.
Well,
But
what people don't remember is the reason why the original PS3, like the first edition that came out, was so expensive compared to everything else was because it was a PS1, a PS2, and a PS3 all on the same console. So it did not emulate. It actually ran the games by having the hardware inside of the console. That's why it was so big and so expensive.
that's pretty cool.
I
Have
commend
you
like that is commendable. Don't sell us a PS5 that is so expensive for minimal upgrades and can't even do backwards compatibility. If you're going to sell me a $700 console, let me play every single game from every single generation and then maybe I will consider it.
Xbox already does it.
Don't like even then, if you can emulate your own games, do it for every game. Don't be picky, or at least let me run it natively on the console, or be able to emulate every game. Don't force people to have to fucking download it online because it's not available on like an online store after it gets shut down. You know, thinking about the Xbox 360 arcade games you can't get anymore because the Xbox 360 servers are shut down and the Xbox marketplace is shut down for it.
Yeah.
Like you can't play
Um,
Dorito Crash Course anymore. You can't buy Doritos Crash Course anymore. Like might as well end my life.
N
At least
N
the OG
plus.
one.
Do you remember that a game called N plus?
No.
Ninja Plus? Oh my god, that game was so fun.
I might have played it, but I just don't remember.
Gotham City Imposters?
Oh, that's a good game, but that was 360, eh? Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Is 360.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was I think it was digital only. I don't think I ever remember it being on a disc at all.
Mm.
It was marketplace only. It was arcade. I'm gonna be a boomer. The good old days.
Indeed, indeed. Back when life was simpler. Back when we
Yeah.
played games that were worth the price.
Was Armored Core Last Raven worth it?
Armor Core Last Raven
Yeah.
was not worth it. Now, why I pick it is because this is a little complicated. Back when Armor Core Last Raven came out, there was pretty much an Armor Core game every year. It had the Call of Duty syndrome back then. There was not enough changing between each game that made it like good to people. So I don't think an Armored Core game really ranked any higher than a 7 or an 8. The early ones. I think even the best of the later ones, the Armored Core 4 Answer is still only like 70 something percent on Metacritic or Rotten Tomatoes, whatever you want to, not Rotten Tomatoes. Whatever
I was gonna say, is it a movie?
No, I was just getting my sources mixed up.
Very good.
But it is the first PS2, or sorry, just the first Armored Core game in general to have dual analog controls. This may be kind of crazy to you, but prior to that game, the only games, Armored Core games that had dual analog, so you can move and look around with the sticks, was on PSP and PS Vita.
Dude, if the PSP, you just okay. If the
Or
PSP
not
had came
PSV,
out,
but the PS Vita, sorry, because the PS Vita was the only one with dual analog sticks.
but
Um,
with that being said, if the PSP had came out within the last 7 years, it would have dominated. It was too early. No one understood. But now with the Switch and like when the Wii U came out, it was a little too early. But oh my God, you can't deny that the PSP would have been a massive hit if it had came out just a little later.
so honestly, even though I said Last Raven for this game, it was just because of the dual analog control. Some of the other games prior to it had at least like you could control your movement with the D-pad, but then you could look around with the analog stick. So that's at least playable, like a lot more playable than the other games, which were full tank controls. So you look left and right with the D-pad, you move forward and back with the D-pad, you look up and down with the triggers. It was it's not a good control scheme. Let's just say that it takes a long
It
time to get
sounds
used
like
to.
it
So
sounds like
that's
you're trying
why
to like operate a helicopter while playing
that
a game.
that's why they call it tank controls because it's
Oh,
tank
I see.
controls. And they thought it was immersive because you're piloting mechs, right? So that's why it took them so long to change it. But the first game before PS3, before the PS3 games that had dual analog support, was Last Raven, and I own it on PS2. It was expensive and took a long time to find, but I got it. I own a lot of them. I think I'm only missing 2 or 3 of the PS2 games, and I'll have the entire collection on PS2.
So I'm assuming you've played the most recent Armor Core that came out.
Oh yeah, I almost 100%ed it. I think I'm missing
So
one
you very much enjoy it.
I have to S rank all of the missions, and then I have all the achievements on it, and it's platinumed. But yeah, the newest Armor Core I believe was the best rated Armor Core, and I personally believe is the best Armor Core. People are going to argue against me. I don't just have new bias. I have played the older Armor Cores before playing this one. I would argue that if you're going to say there was one Armor Core that is better, it is Armor Core 4 Answer. But that one also has a higher skill gap and is not good at, doesn't have a good enough story. This newest Armor Core has the best story, the best gameplay, and the best everything combination. Not as much customization as previous games, but every Armor Core game has that issue where the first entry in like a numbered entry, it has the least customization until the expansions come out. So what they do is they release the numbered entry, so Armor Core 6, and then Armor Core 6 will have like 3 smaller games after it that will add a bunch of new parts and new stories and stuff like that, but will keep it'll pretty much just be an upgrade to each game. Now I don't know if they're going to do it the same way, but that's how they did it for all the other games. So Armor Core Last Raven was the last iteration of the third games. So it went Armored Core 3, and then went Armored Core Silent Line, Armored Core. There's Last Raven, and there's one that I am missing. Nexus. Nexus is the other one. So it goes Silent Line, Nexus, and then Last Raven. Last Raven was the last one that came out before Armored Core 4 came out. And Armored Core Last Raven is hard. It's a hard game. Like if you do the single player and the arena, which is just one-on-one duels with AI, that get progressively harder the higher up you get on the leaderboard. But it has awesome mech customization. Pretty much from right out the gate, if you want to just play split screen with your friend, you can each give yourself, like you start with a set amount of money, credits, and you can buy a loadout, completely customize your AC however you want, and you can both fight each other in an arena without having to play a story mission or anything. Because that's back when games separated single player from multiplayer. So like on the main screen, you select single player and it brings you into the single player. You select multiplayer and it brings you to a completely different section that is not connected to the single player. So you were able to unlock any part. There was no you could set different limits and stuff for custom games. It was really fun. I played with my brother a bunch. Like we would just sit there and we'd have game nights where we would do like tournaments. We'd like see who could win in games. We'd play like Gran Turismo 3, Armored Core. We do multiple Armored Cores actually.
Very good.
because the dual analog one was the easiest because we just roast each other immediately. So if we wanted to make it harder, we would do the older ones where you had the tank controls, so that it was way more fun because it's like, ah, god damn it, I turned the wrong way and you fucked me up with a missile, and god damn it, I missed my laser
Oh no,
swing.
I don't know how to play my game, and you beat me.
So he actually
Essentially.
like fucking smoked me a couple times. He got used to it a lot faster than I did. But yeah, it's just a really fun game. If you wanted to play the older games, you can. If you want to play the first three games, like the PS1 games with dual analog controls, and you have a PlayStation Vita that still works, go and find those games or buy them on the store before you can't buy them anymore. I believe you can still buy them digitally. So go ahead and buy them if you still can before it gets shut down, because it's the only way you can play the first three PlayStation 1 Armored Core games with dual analog controls. And it's going to be the best way to do it. Because
I feel like it would immediately feel familiar because all of us in the modern gaming space are so used to dual analog anyway. Like we're so used to
exactly.
movement for me it's like Skyrim, Call of Duty, Destiny, Halo. Like if I were to pick up an old Armored Core, I'd probably wouldn't play it because I'm like, okay, this is way too alien for me.
And
But if
that's where I tell you, if you want to play the old Armored Core games, don't play it on PS2. Emulate it, and then that way you can, because I believe for most games now they have patches so that you can play dual analog with an Xbox controller on an emulated version of the games.
yeah,
But most people that
that
you see online try to play it OG, try to like get the OG experience. But no, just play with dual analog if you can, emulate it if you can, because the games are really expensive. Some of them aren't. Some of them you can find for like $30 or $40 Canadian at least, used. The problem is just living in an area where people are selling them. Like for me, most people sell them down south in Toronto, Brampton, that kind of area, Hamilton, London, where I live.
Sure.
Not many people sell them. Like the couple that I found here in town were at stores and were like really good prices. Like I got Armored Core 4 Answer, which is $150 to $200 game, depending on where you sell it. Almost $300 if it's a really good condition. I got it for $50 in
why
great
are they so
condition.
expensive?
Because they didn't sell well, so there's not many out there.
So it's just one of those retro games that people kind of pick up because they know that there's not a lot of. It's like one of those collector things.
Yeah, it's like the only people buying Armored Core games are Armored Core fans, right? Because it's not like not every one of those Armored Core games are a banger. The best ones are the most expensive ones, and those are the ones that are going to be the hardest to find, like Last Raven and Nexus. Nexus is super expensive. Nexus is like $260 or something. It's crazy.
Do you have one?
I don't have Nexus.
Oh,
I have Last Raven. I have Silent Line. I have two. I have three. And I'm just missing another. I'm missing Armored Core 2 Another Age, and I'm missing Armored Core Nexus. Yeah, Another Age, Nexus, and then the PS2, which is it only released in Japan on PS2. It was also on PSP, but Armored Core Formula, which is like what they did was instead of doing like the classic. By the way, the storyline for most Armored Core games is just corporations versus corporations. So Cyberpunk, but with mechs. Think about it like that.
so like Chevy versus Ford, but giant.
Literally, just giant military corporations who are just giant mega corporations. Who they don't just do military stuff. They own like
Boeing versus General Dynamics.
pretty much. Yeah, that's it. It's like if Boeing and General Dynamics owned the whole world or governments. Yeah. Actually, that's exactly what it is. It's like if Boeing owned the
They
United
do.
States. It's no, like actually, like I know they have large influence, but it's like by name. Like it's like if the United States wasn't called United States, it was called the United States of Boeing. The
Hey,
United
yeah,
States of
Boeing. Hey,
747.
Boeing. We have a deny. We have a Boeing denier. Yeah, I'll send you his address. Sorry, bud.
Are you a Boeing supporter? That's dangerous waters these days.
Dude, I was the one that opened the door that flew off of the jet. Uh,
We found him. We got him, boys.
the average
Right
lifespan of the average lifespan of a Boeing whistleblower is that of a fruit fly. 2 weeks. We're gonna get so demonetized. Oh wait, we're not even monetized yet.
Yeah, we can't get demonetized if we're not even monetized.
That's true.
And these episodes aren't going to get watched probably once we are monetized.
Oh, they will be.
Because once we're
With opinion,
monetized, I'll probably put a little bit more effort into the. We'll probably
with the,
do a
with
little rebrand.
with these opinions, what we got going on? Oh yeah.
Um,
You-
so is that all my games?
No, you got one more, but I want to use this opportunity since you're talking about mechs, and then you and I are both going to be able to talk about this. Freaking Gundams, dude.
Mm.
Some of the old, some like the last Gundam game I did play was Gundam Evolutions, and it was like that Overwatch Gundam game, and it was very refreshing just because it was interesting. The monetization of it wasn't good. I did not like that at all. That's probably why I got shut down because nobody was buying stuff.
Yeah.
But if you were to hand me a copy of Mobile Suit Gundam Federation versus Xeon in today's world, dude, like there's just something about an old arcade game like that that was put onto a console that just hits. Like it's just one of those games that me and some of the guys can just get a pizza, a couple pizzas, some beers, maybe some Mountain Dew, and just it's like, okay, you and you go for a round, and then you and you go for a round. Whoever wins, you and you go. It's so simple. The game is so simple that it's silly.
Mm-hmm.
Bandai literally just took an arcade game, ported it over to a console. And then when it came out onto that console, they added console exclusive stuff, which the Ground Gundam will never be surpassed.
I would show off mine, but they're in boxes at my mom's place.
That's she's doing you a good service by holding your mobile suits for you.
Well, I guess technically my brother is, but he's. Fuck you, Logan. Love you.
Yeah. Hi, Logan. But that game is so simple that it's not even funny. Like I could load up the story version, the story. It's hardly even a story mode. It's literally just the arcade missions, but with occasional dialogue from the show. Like
Oh, Armored Core.
exactly. Wait, is Armored Core a show?
No, it's pretty much the same thing. You load up a mission, and then you have people talking to you through a.
Through a PA?
Yeah.
Oh well, that's basically what. But that's what the Federation versus Xeon game is. Um,
A lot of mech games were like that back in the day. You did sorties. They basically copied what's the Japanese Ace Combat?
yeah,
Ace Combat. They copied Ace Combat.
I tried Ace Combat 7. That game, I didn't like it. I returned it. It's a little controversial, but whatever. But I have such nostalgia just with my brother or his friends, just loading up the arcade mode, choosing a mobile suit for space, choosing a mobile suit for ground, and then I think it's like six missions, three on the ground, three in space. And the space combat was super weird because the camera is like you can't aim. And this is one of those games that doesn't have dual analog. I
Oh
just had to
shit!
think
Really?
about that. Yes, it doesn't have dual analog. I just had to think about it because this game came out in 2001. So
Oh yeah, Halo was a trendsetter with the dual analog.
yes, it was. But MSG, monosodium glutamate, the only way you can aim is to lock on to other mobile suits. So that's weird, but the space combat's super fun because even though your camera is following your guy, like it's a normal camera. But when you complete a mission, it does this cool thing where it shows you the final objective either being destroyed or the last character being destroyed, and then it zooms in on the last person that did it. And for all you know, I'm going to use this Master Chief right here to demonstrate. For those of you who are listening, I am just holding up a Master Chief upside down because the camera angle you see you like you can't tell where your orientation is in zero G. And for all you know, when you complete the mission, you're just upside down because your camera angle just it's zero G. You don't know. So it's super disorienting when you're like, oh my God, I've been upside down this whole time. I thought that was kind of unique. And there's just something about just like, so since it's an arcade game, it doesn't have a real orchestra or like a real soundtrack. So it's just synthesized instruments. So you just hear those really shitty trumpets, or like the
Honestly,
really the
this
really shitty fake violins.
this may be a hot take, but Gundam doesn't necessarily have or isn't really known for the best music.
It's really not.
Like even the OG theme, it's grown on me, and I like it now. But at first, you hear it and you're like, "This is kind of forgettable." But then eventually, you hear it to a listen of times, you're like, "Gandamu," and it's just you're fucking
Well,
jamming to it. But
well,
some
in
shows have it, but like most of the time, at least for the Universal Century, it is a lot of that trumpet shit,
yeah,
that
like the
space
soundtrack,
opera bullshit.
the soundtrack for 0079, because they had such a low budget, and since it was such a brand new thing, like you can hear like the voice acting, like you can hear the room reverberating because they didn't have soundproofing because they just did it in some guy's closet or something for all we know. But then the soundtrack, it repeats so much because they didn't have a big budget to do a big orchestra, so they have to repeat music so much. So it's one of those games where it's so like I've said it like 6 times now, but it's so bad that it's good. And this game has no story, it has no customization, but it's just pure combat, and it's amazing. You can absolutely emulate Federation vs. Xeon Deluxe, but I would just find it because to even emulate it on PS2X or whatever, you have to get a PlayStation, a real PlayStation, download its like copy its serial code.
Firmware.
It's
Oh,
yeah, you have to copy its like serial number or something to prove to Sony that you have it, like you have a PlayStation. It's so
oh,
weird. This is the lengths that I
oh!
went
Is that
to
to play
try and play
online?
it.
Is that to play on? Is there
No, there's
online?
no there's no multiplayer.
Oh,
It's literally just a single player game.
that's one thing that surprised me a lot. Like getting back into PS2 games is how many PS2 games had multiplayer. It was very
Yeah,
basic, bare bones
it's
multiplayer,
so
but
weird.
so much, like so many games had multiplayer. It's crazy.
Yeah, the first PlayStation game I ever found out had that had multiplayer was Jack X Combat Racing, and that was weird.
I think the Japanese just really love peer-to-peer multiplayer. And that's
They
usually what
under
they did.
they understand what couch co-op is, and then Halo revolutionized it.
All right.
See, I want you to talk. I gotta get you to talk about your last game before I go on my yap session because I know who Spawn is, but I don't know if Spawn Armageddon is who I think it is.
uh, Spawn Armageddon is a game. Armageddon is just the title of the game. You know,
So
like
is it Spawn like that Marvel character?
he's not Marvel.
It
He was
is he
created
DC?
by a Marvel artist.
Oh,
Todd McFarlane was the artist, the main artist dude for Spider-Man back in the day, back in the early 2000s and stuff. So like, actually, he was the main artist when the black suit became a thing, the Venom suit. He did a lot of Venom covers too. He was really popular for that. So when he eventually split off from Marvel, he created his own studio, like his own I don't know if you call it studio publishing place for comics. Excuse me,
yeah, that sounds
Image
about.
Comics. He created Image Comics. So basically, he'd get a bunch of his artist friends to come over, and they could create their own comics and post them and have issues and stuff. And his own personal project was Spawn. And Spawn is sick. Spawn is awesome. Um, Spawn is for those who don't know what Spawn is. Spawn was when he was a human. He was a special agent, assassin type character who gets betrayed, set on fire, and burnt. Um, and then he goes to hell. He makes a deal with the devil to go back up to Earth, but he has to basically become a spawn of hell. Basically, that's where Spawn comes from.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so he's sent back up, but he looks like honestly, he might be like a really. I think he's a main inspiration for Deadpool because if you look at his mask, Like if you look up a picture of Spawn right now, you'll see that he looks pretty similar to Deadpool. His face is completely burnt and crispy, like he looks like a charred corpse. Um, um, so he constantly wears his like mask and shit, and he keeps his suit on. He has a big red cloak that is alive and he can control. So it can like morph and change form and block bullets and stuff. It can choke people and grab people with like not tentacles, but with, like it can like wrap around them and grab them and
So
stuff.
it's Doctor Strange's cape, but cooler.
Yeah, way cooler. Demon cape.
Demon cape.
Yeah, and he uses guns. He loves guns because he's an assassin, right? So he's like all loaded with bandoliers and grenades and
He loves guns. Who doesn't?
yeah. So he's pretty much if like Deadpool was in 40K. He's got giant guns, bandoliers everywhere. He's got like a giant boot that actually looks like a Space Marine boot.
Is that a comparison? Is that a legitimate comparison, or is that just a biased? Hi, I'm Mac, and I love Warhammer so much comparison.
Genuinely, like I know I like to compare Warhammer to a lot of things, but I think Warhammer has influenced a lot of stuff since it's been out since the 80s, and it Spawn has that grim dark feel to it. Like cuz it's not cuz like think of it I'm also going to say it's like Batman because he's almost kind of like Batman. He's like if Batman he's Batman if Batman killed people and was badass and way cooler. He has special powers. He like turn invisible. He has like green plasma. He can like shoot at people. His arch nemesis is a clown, a really fat clown who then turns into a giant spindly demon called the Violator.
I don't like that.
Yeah. And it's basically the whole story plot is just Spawn wants to get back with his wife, but his wife moves on, and he's got like a little daughter. So he basically just like tries to protect his wife as much as he can while killing bad guys, and like not just bad guys, like really bad guys. So corrupt cops, pedophiles, stuff like that. Like he's a vigilante.
But what do you do in Spawn or Armageddon?
He killed demons.
So it's a shoot 'em up, but Spawn.
Yeah, it's a hack and slash. So think of it as
Oh, it is.
like it's God of War without the quick time events. Even though there may be quick time events in it, if I remember
So it's
correctly.
so it's Devil May Cry.
Oh yeah, I guess that could be a better explanation. It is kind of like Devil May Cry, even though I haven't really played Devil May Cry because Devil May Cry, if you remember correctly, it was supposed to be a Resident Evil game. So it controls like a Resident Evil game, but more actiony. Like it has the tank controls and the set camera angles. The first one, at least. So it doesn't really control like that. It's third person. You can walk around and move your camera and stuff. It's a collectible game, so you can find collectibles and stuff. But it's cool. You roam around the city that's in the middle of Armageddon. So it's literally Doomsday. That's why it's called Armageddon. So you're basically coming up and killing all the demons that are fucking around on Earth. I don't really remember much past that. It's just really nostalgic for me because I've always loved Spawn. Spawn has been one of my favorite like things ever. I really like creepy stuff. I love horror. I love grimdark, and Spawn always hit that nail on the head.
I like it.
Todd
I
McFarlane also is just a really amazing artist, and no wonder why I love Spider-Man so much and his Spider-Man. He's really famous for giving Spider-Man the really chunky, thick, like tube-looking webbing. Like, have you ever seen art of Spider-Man and like the webbing just looks like a giant tube with spirals on it? Like that's his signature.
It looks like the special beam cannon, but like white.
Yeah, literally, bro. I'm not even kidding. That's actually a really good comparison. The special beam cannon from Piccolo, Dragon Ball. Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, Spartan again. There's not much to talk about there. It was on the original Xbox. I got it that way. I'm pretty sure it's on PS2 as well, so you can get it there. It's pretty cheap actually, I believe. So they sold enough copies that it was not that rare, if I remember correctly. I think maybe like $50 Canadian, which honestly, like that may sound a lot for a PS2 game, but if you compare it to like the $130 PS2 games, like basically every one of your favorite PS2 games that you can remember is probably way more expensive than you think, and all the ones that you think would be expensive aren't as expensive.
Here's one that I know is expensive that I wasn't expecting to be. Do you remember in 2012 or 2013 the Deadpool game that came out for the 360?
Yeah, so I never played it. I had a girlfriend at the time who really, really liked it, but it wasn't my thing at the time. I didn't like
My
beat 'em
brother and
ups or
I
hack and slashes, whatever you call them.
my brother and I went through it many times. Him and I think he 100%ed it, and I almost did, but we played it a lot, and um, its license exp- its license expired for for gaming rights and whatnot. So like its contract expired, and copies were not allowed to be printed anymore. So there's only a limited amount, and there are sealed copies on eBay selling for like $1,200. I
Yeah, I would
could
say people could
I
sell sealed copies for ridiculous amounts. It's kind of
I
crazy.
could be wrong, but I just know I was like, oh, I was having a nostalgia trip one day. I was like, oh, I want to see how much the old Deadpool game is. I could probably play it on my Xbox. And then every copy I saw was over $100. I'm like, excuse me. It
I've
turns
spent
out,
over $100 for games. Armored Core.
oh, oh yeah,
I think 120 was the most I spent on an Armored Core game.
it's wild.
Hey man, dual analog sticks.
It'll be worth it at some point.
Yeah. Especially when Armored Core pops off and becomes more popular, which I'm hoping. That
I think
game's
it's
so
pop.
underrated. And I know we're talking about retro games, but go play Armored Core 6. It's so good. It's getting like that Titanfall 2 treatment where everyone who plays it says it's amazing, but no one actually fucking plays it. Like, it sold really well for an Armored Core game, but like, compared to other FromSoft games, it did not sell as good as like Elden Ring and stuff. So, let's get it up there, people. Let's show them
Respawn,
that we want good, plenty of sequels. It's worth it.
re- respawn, Titanfall, Titanfall 3. Make it happen.
Respawn. I don't even care
Add to
anymore.
add.
You've ruined Titanfall for me. Everyone who was there that made Titanfall special is gone. You've tainted it. I'm not even excited for Titanfall 3 anymore. I know I'm
It's
not
not gonna
supposed to.
happen. It's not gonna happen.
Even if it does happen, they're not going to do it right, and that's the only reason why they haven't done it is because they didn't want to fuck it up. And it's like, well, you waited so long that you are just going to fuck it up now. All the people who came up with all the good Titanfall 3 ideas created Apex, and now they're either gone or super into Apex and don't care about Titanfall anymore. Or have been moved on to other games like Star Wars games and shit.
See, we
Thanks,
just
Vincent Pella. We know you said Titanfall 3 was coming like 2 years ago, which, well, you didn't say it was coming. You said Titanfall news was coming, and Titanfall wasn't dead yet, or something along the lines of that.
or he said Titanfall remains a part of our core identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, more like identity theft.
You update the servers and fixed it once without even acknowledging it, and just doing cryptic little teases, making everybody think the third game was going to get announced, and then just dropping it and getting everybody blues balled, even though it was kind of our fault for not taking our pills.
Oh yeah.
But still,
You wanna hear some conversations about a game that needs to happen but hasn't happened yet?
I do, because you need to take this away. We're at 118, and
Very good.
you've only talked about one of your games.
I could talk for 45 minutes. Don't worry. So, those of you who know me personally, because hopefully a lot of our friends are watching, those of you who know me, I enjoyed watching my brother play games a lot to the point where it was annoying. But with him allowing me to watch him play some games, I gained insider knowledge about most of these games that I am about to list off. And I have even gone as far as to finally play them because I've watched my brother play them so much that I thought I knew what I was doing. Sometimes I was wrong. So, since I want to talk about a franchise that needs a sequel that has not happened, we're going to start off strong with the Jack and Daxter series. Now, I know you were listing games individually, but I cannot list just a single Jack game without mentioning another one because the first game came out in 2001 and it was a collectathon 3D platformer. But Jack 1 was very I can't remember. I can't think of the word, but it was a pioneer. for seamless loading zones. Now, yes, there were zones that were used for loading the game, but the idea for Jack and Daxter, the Precursor to Legacy, is you could start the game and finish it without a single loading or buffering zone. And as long
Oh,
as you,
the first
and as
God of
long,
War.
exactly, and as long as you can, as long as you don't try to speed run the game, you won't get any buffering or load because it will say like loading or whatnot at the bottom if you hit a buffering zone. But the idea is that it's not supposed to happen. If you go too fast or if you do something out of sequence, it will happen. But the idea was it was substantial at that time because nobody thought with the PS1's or with the PS2's hardware you could do that. Well, Naughty Dog proved that you can. But Jack and Daxter, it's nostalgic because it's that pure 90s nostalgia that hit the new millennium. But unfortunately, after the year 2000, things were changing. Well, maybe not unfortunately, but unfortunately for that type of game, the world was changing. So with the time of between 2001 and 2003, we had Grand Theft Auto come out, Grand Theft Auto 3 or Vice City or whichever game it was. But Grand Theft Auto was taking the gaming world by storm. So whenever you mention Jack 1, you have to mention Jack and Jack 2. So they took the Daxter part out of it and just turned it into Jack 2. Because every game for the 90s and 2000s had to have like Halo, Combat Evolved, Jack and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. But then we just started going with numbers, which
Simplified it.
it's kind of smart.
Like X-Men 2 was X2.
Oh yeah.
Freaking. Oh, I'm trying to think of some other ones. Fast and Furious 7 was Fast 7.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But Jack 2 holds a very nostalgic place in my heart because I distinctively remember watching my brother play this one mission. I cannot remember the name of the mission, but I think it was retrieve seal from water slums. And those of you who know what that
Wow,
mission
that
is,
sounds
cool.
so exciting.
Well,
Retrieve the
the mission
seal from the water slums.
the mission names were the objective. It's like retrieve mission, like break through the ruins of whatever, or
Gotcha.
retrieve this, retrieve flag. But I constantly watched him try to beat these hordes of guards of guys with, and it's so funny because Jack One was this game. It was just a punching game, no guns. There's only a couple parts where you got to drive on this like motorcycle hover bike that had a plane propeller called a zoomer. So like that was cool. But Jack Two takes it from a game that's like completely 90s fiction and turns it into early 2000s science fiction. So you have flying vehicles, energy guns, giant freaking monsters with like gems in their skulls, freaking metalheads. I love them. Like I intend on getting a tattoo at some point, Mac, of a metalhead from Jack 2 holding a guitar because metalhead
Yeah.
and my metalhead will come out here in a little bit on my list. But watching my brother play that mission constantly was invigorating because it's like I was like, yeah, you can do it, Cody, you can do it, you can do it. Well, as a matter of fact, just this during this weekend of this the weekend of this recording, I was over at his house and I said, hey Cody, pull up this video. And it was a Jack 2 speed run in 48 minutes or something like that. And that mission is part of the speed run. And the dude just blows right through it, does this one thing that Cody never thought to do. And he gets up and he yells, "What the hell? I never thought." Dude, it was 20. We are 20 years, 21 years after the release of Jack 2. And he still is getting surprised to this day about that game. And I love that. But also, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, Halo 2 released on the same day as Jack 3. And Jack 3 took the premise of Jack 2 and turned it up to 11, doubled the size of the open world. And it's all still seamless. Well, except for a couple minor like actual loading zones, but like the theoretical premise of a seamless world still exists. And this was 20 years ago. Like I I'm pretty sure God of War Ragnarok has a couple moments where it seems like it's completely seamless, but it's the cutscenes for the game that they do seamlessly. Like
Oh, the
there's
loading
no
screens too, because what they did is, especially in the first
the
game,
loading screen the loading screen turns into the cutscene.
uh, the loading screen becomes a playable cutscene, is what it is because like you'll walk through that portal dimension in the first game while talking to Atreus or talking to Mimir on your hip. And you kind of literally just walk in a circle until they're done talking, and then you walk through another teleporter, and then that is your loading screen.
Or like
Uh,
in Ragnarok when Odin does his swarm of ravens to teleport you. That's obviously a loading zone. Like
I've never
I'm no
played
game
Ragnarok. I haven't. I don't have a PS5, so
I don't either. I've watched a playthrough of it.
I don't want to watch a playthrough. But I want to play that shit myself because that first game blew me away and inspired
Well,
me
it's
to.
finally on PC, man. So maybe
Yeah,
you and I should play through it together. I play on one screen, you play on another.
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
But it's astonishing how a game 20 years ago was technologically superior. Like, well, okay, maybe not superior, but it had so much technical goodness, and none of us could appreciate that.
Hmm.
Now, the adults of that time could appreciate that, but if I could reciprocate that appreciation to maybe, I don't know, a Jack and Daxter 4, I would. But Naughty Dog has not done anything for 20 years. Well, okay, almost 20 years. Where it's been 19 years since the last real Jack and Daxter, because there was a spin-off that was called The New Frontier, and it was PSP only. It was terrible. I don't count it. I hope it's not canon because it was just a terrible game. But since I want to keep the nostalgia glasses on instead of worrying about games I haven't played, when my brother and I back in the day, and as of the most recent thing, like last year's Thanksgiving, him and I loaded up Jack X Combat Racing because it's a mix of it's literally just out his favorite universe of games plus racing games, because in Jack 2 and 3 there were mini games of racing and they were really good. So the developers at Naughty Dog were like, "Hey, we have these racing mini games. How about we just turn that into a whole game?" And they freaking killed it, man. It Jack X was like, the story may not be canon to the whole universe, but it's a cohesive story. It makes sense. It's a little goofy, but it's early, it's 2005. Like, what do you expect from us? But the game is simple. It is you have offensive weapon, defensive weapon. You can customize the vehicles. You have different classes of vehicles for each class of race, because you have a class 1, class 2, class 3, and then all classes. For the final class of the game, you can use any vehicle you want. But for the first 3 classes, you're restricted to certain vehicles, which opens up like variety and whatnot. Like, here in a little bit, Mac, I'll show you my favorite vehicle from the game. It's the Javelin X. That thing's the fastest. It's the nicest. It's, oh my God, it's so clean. I would buy one at 22% APR at a Dodge dealership if they existed. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I don't have good credit, so I don't know what that means.
It means I'm gonna buy it at $80,000, and then 22% of that $80,000 gets added on
Oh,
that I
okay.
gifted.
22% interest. Okay. I understand that.
And
When you
annual
say
percent,
ADR, I'm like,
no, APR, annual
oh,
percentage rate.
APR.
Gotta think.
I know
But
acronyms.
hopefully Cody's watching up to this point, and Cody, playing Jack X is really fun with you. And yes, I am still upset that you and I cannot beat a time trial on hero mode. It's bad. Hero mode is hard.
Give the man a time trial like mode here, like or like go beat it with him. Like go.
Well, here's the premise. I don't want to get off tangent, but I will explain this one part. The time trial races in that game are called freeze rallies, and the clock is running all the way from the, like, when you start your engine, the clock starts, and there's pickups all around the racetrack that stop the clock. You have 2-second freezers, 5-second freezers, and 10-second freezers. There's 2 laps to every map, except for this one. It's literally just a oval, so it's 5 laps. But every track is 2 to 3 laps. So you have to memorize the correct route one time and then memorize the route a second time to pick up the ideal and the most optimal route for picking up the freezers. Dude, there's this one map him and I just cannot get gold medal on. We can get silver all day long, but we just haven't practiced. We like after not playing for a year, you kind of forget how to, do slides around the map and break perfectly. It's just
It's almost
if it's something. Oh yeah, if it was something him and I could play consistently, yeah. But we kind of do it as like a Thanksgiving tradition at this point, and we just play together. I do a race, he does a race, I get a controller, he gets a controller, we race against each other. It's a lot of freaking fun. But
me and Logan do that with GT3. We pick the biggest, most roundabout map. It's just a big circle. We pick the fastest car in S class, and we just both race the same car and see who can win first with the hardest difficulty settings. We don't do automatic. We do manual. Yeah, that shit's fun.
see, this is one thing that modern gaming is missing is moments like that where
Couch
like my brother and I can play or your brother and I can't even play couch co-op on Halo Infinite or Halo 5. Silly.
You disappoint me, 343, or should I say Halo Studios? Do better.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Do better. Halo 6 better be good. But now I just want to do some math because
You mean Halo 7?
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing.
But
Infinite wasn't named, so wasn't a numbered entry. So
well, Infinite is a number. It's infinity, but whatever. But if there is one game that my brother can be proud of me for playing finally, is Kingdom Hearts 2. That's my second to last on this list because I want to finish. I want to finish with a strong one. My nostalgia for Kingdom Hearts 2 stems from, of course, watching my brother play it. Like this was 2005 also. So in 2005 he was playing Jak X, Jak 3, Kingdom Hearts 2. Every day after school I'd be watching him. But he was always stuck on certain bosses. In KH2 that would have been let's see, Sephiroth was a hard one. And well, this was the English release of 2005, so it wasn't the 2. It wasn't 2.5, the Japanese edition. So, yeah, the toughest super boss at that time was Sephiroth, and every day I would just be watching him fail after fail after fail, and I'm just like, dude, you got this, you got this. He's like, shut up, you're distracting me, and I'm like, I know. So that's probably why he couldn't beat Sephiroth really quickly because he had his annoying little brother just going. Meh, 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 meh. But when I learned that KH2 was on Xbox finally, and it was the international release where it was Japanese extra content but localized for English, I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And there was a couple moments in that game where my brother had not played it because there was extra content he had not heard about, like some of the extra organization members, so the main bad guys of that game. Because there's 13 members in that game. There's 13 bad guys. They're all part of a group, a big syndicate group. But in KH2, I think there's only 6 of them that you fight in that game. Well, it's like, where was the other 5? Well, in the Japanese edition, they add the other 5 as bosses. So one day, I'm home from work, and he comes. He's over at my house. I said, "Hey, who's this guy?" And he goes, "Who is that guy?" So at that point, we're 19 years after that game release, and we still got surprised. Like there was no, like that was such a good feeling. You have no idea. But then also when I beat Sephiroth for the first time and my brother was in the next room, he actually like we freaking hugged. He's like, yes, dude. Oh my god. And I'm like, did I do like how long did it take you to get him? He's like, dude, it took me months, and it took you like what 3-4 tries. It was just oh yeah. And see, I think but I think the caveat to that is when let's see, let me do some math. Pardon me. Let's see. Crap. Me know math good.
I think I just
Okay. So,
realized that I was muted there. So I'll just say what I said, which was, "Fuck you, Logan. Love you."
you weren't muted for me, so hopefully
Yeah,
hopefully it
I
went
did
through.
mute you. I muted it on OBS because my brother was making some noise in the room next door. So
Oh, very good. Okay. So at that time, my brother, when he was fighting Sephiroth, had his balls probably hadn't dropped at that point. So honestly, the ignorance of children is probably what made it so hard for him to beat that boss as a kid. Learning patterns was probably pretty hard. But for me, only doing it a couple years ago, I picked up on the patterns, really quick. And then also just all the memories coming back all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, these music cues. I remember that dialogue cue. So it's just like I've had like at that point, years of training just going like I was like a sleeper agent. And I even recorded one because I made a save file right before that fight so I could go back and do it whenever I want because you can't like after you beat it you can't replay it. So I made a save point right before it, and hey Cody, come here, watch this, and I kicked his ass in like 2 minutes, which is pretty fast, but it's not the world record. Like there's like some people can beat him in like 12 seconds if I'm not mistaken. It's wild, but I beat him in like 2 minutes, and the final hit, I smack him right on the top of the head, and I swear, Cody was crying, like he was crying from laughter. He was like, "That was so funny!" It's just nostalgia, man. Retro.
all
It's
right.
it doesn't get better than that. But I can tell you one thing that does get better is some of your nostalgia that transcribes the the line between gaming and everyday life. So think of one thing that affects you in everyday life. Just let me see if you can think of what I'm thinking.
You might have to be a little more specific in what
If
you're
you're
thinking.
thinking of music, if you're thinking of music, then correct, Mac.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks.
I didn't
But
condition you. I didn't condition you correctly for that question,
whoa,
but
whoa, whoa.
it's okay. I still love you. Here I'll kiss you on the mic.
My mic's up here.
Oh, very good. Well, Guitar Hero 3 was a revolutionary game because it added all these big name people who we didn't know. But when our mom had seen my brother and I playing it downstairs one day when we were kids, and she sees this guy with a really distinctive guitar, she goes, "Oh my god, is that Slash?" And we're like, "Who's that?" She goes, "Oh my god, I remember seeing him at Enter This Venue or wherever in 1991. The guitarist from Guns N' Roses." So it's just like, okay. So then my mother, oh, you gonna share those Oreos?
My Oreos.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, for the
But
listeners, I've been snacking this whole episode, and I'm just eating Oreos now.
but when my mother had seen my brother and I playing a music game that had one of her favorite guitarists of all time, she even sat down to watch. And Guitar Hero being basically a music video that you play is awesome. Now, of course, when that game came out, I didn't have quite the right hand size to play the guitar. So, of course, I just had to watch a whole bunch. But when I did play it, I, of course, played it on easy and it was still too hard. But Guitar Hero 3 has a very big place in my heart because I still listen to every single one of the like I have the set list pulled up here and I listened to every single one of these songs. Maybe not that one, but yeah.
I was like that with SingStar Pop on PS2.
Oh, I know this is
That's how
Queens
I
of the
got a
Stone
lot
Age.
of
Yes,
my music taste actually.
dude. They have a song in Guitar Hero 2 from Metalocalypse, Thunder Horse. You know, Thunder Horse. And every time Cody and I shot Thunderlord in D1 or Destiny 1 when him and I would play together, he would just start singing Thunderlord, Thunderlord. So that's a cover him and I need to make. But every one of these songs I listen to this day. Like every one of these songs has influenced my music tastes. And I'm a very big music guy, like very, very big. So big to a point where this one particular song. Oh, I just had it on the. Yeah. This one particular song from the solo tier of Battle for Your Soul. It was a cheeky little song called One by Metallica. That song resonated so effing well. I've gone and see them. I've seen them so many times now because of this game. So, I almost said Call of Duty because Activision, but Guitar Hero has influenced me through the nostalgia to buy concert tickets to some of these people, and it's insanity. It's insanity. And my brother and I were just hanging out earlier this weekend, and a song came on the radio, or not the radio, but my playlist, and it was "My Name Is Jonas" by Weezer, and that's on the set list. And he goes, "Oh my god, I haven't heard this in forever." And I love it when you play a song and you go, "Oh my god, I haven't heard this in forever," because sometimes your algorithm on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever you listen to, sometimes the algorithm just doesn't play correctly. Sometimes it repeats songs twice a day. But when you get that one that you haven't heard in a while, and it gives you that sense of pride and accomplishment, nothing beats it, man. And the fact that I can trace all of this to a game from now, this is 2007, so it isn't quite 20 years ago, but it's still at least 15 years, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, those of you who are just listening, there's a cheeky little cat looking at the camera.
Yeah,
So we still got to make that cat compilation. But
we do. People start clipping.
The nostalgia that I get from hearing some of these songs and that I can relate to gaming with my brother 15 years ago.
Can't be.
And then my dad and my mom. Like my dad, he freaking loves Rage Against the Machine. And when he sees that Tom Morello is in the game and he heard an original, like, cuz in Guitar Hero 3 you do guitar battles with the people during the story mode or the solo mode, and there's a part in the game where you have a guitar battle with Slash and then a guitar battle with Tom Morello. And when my dad heard the original the original song that Tom made just for that game, he goes, "Whoa, I love this." And I love it too. I listen to that song consistently.
I don't know. That's what really made it
I haven't listened.
game.
Dude, it's original music.
Yeah,
The guitar battles are original music.
Oh. I never played
And then
Guitar Hero. I just thought it was just dance, but with guitars.
no, and this is my This is my Metallo bro thing about to come into play.
Tallow, bro.
But here's a bit of trivia for you. Well, not trivia, but an interesting fact. So, and all this can be traced to the fact that I played Guitar Hero, and then it made me want to learn. So, for the song in Guitar Hero 3, One by Metallica, that came out in 1988, when their bassist had passed away in 1986, they had recruited a new bassist to replace Cliff Burton. His name was Jason Newsted, Justice for Jason. When they released the album And Justice for All in 1988, they released the songs without a master bass track. So the songs on the album is a fantastic album. It even got even one got Grammy nominated. But when those songs came out, they had no bass. Like it sounded flat. But they still sounded really good. What's amazing is that in 2007, when this game came out, they released the master track for this game so you can hear it with its original bass. And it sounds effing amazing. Like the fact that a conscious decision was made to leave out the bass, total mistake.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know how you can
But
do that.
but all of it, well, it has to do with resentment against Jason because alcohol and whatnot, because they lost their friend Cliff, the original bassist. He died in a bus crash. But the fact that I learned this because I loved that song, because I heard it in a video game, because I watched my brother play it, there's so many connecting bridges, it's insanity. And now I torment everybody who I speak to in person because they know how much I love Metallica.
Now me.
So if who so which I'm gonna look at the viewer for this now. Whoever is gonna go back in time, do not let my brother and I play this game if you don't want to hear me talk about Metallica all the time.
He's got some points.
Oh yeah. But with that being said, my yap session has concluded.
That was your last
I
game?
Oh yeah, that was the last one.
No.
Oh no, it wasn't.
No, that was your second last.
Oh no, it wasn't. I completely forgot. I almost forgot about two of them.
Two.
A Halo
Oh,
two
right.
of them.
Halo 2.
So I don't know how I forgot about Halo 2.
Yeah, we can get those last two done pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
12 minutes.
Well, Halo 2 is super easy. It's
Classic.
when my brother and I had an Xbox, when he would be hanging out with his friends, I'd be coming home after school. I would every t- oh, excuse me. Every time I would start a new game, watch that cutscene, that intro cutscene. And that intro cutscene is a movie. It is such a movie. I love it so much. But I would watch that cutscene to its fullest, play the first 5 missions up to the Arbiter, which is when we got introduced to Thel Vadamy,
Heretics. First
and
heretics.
then I'd get lost.
Halo taught me what heresy was.
Oh yeah. Nay, it was heresy. But I would get lost in that Forerunner facility, and I'd give up, and then I would just replay the Master Chief missions because I just
Really?
didn't know how to. I didn't know how to navigate the Arbiter.
Damn.
Dude, I was like, come on, I was super young. Give me a break.
Fair enough.
But
I might have been a bit older than you then when I played Halo 2.
dude, Halo 2 was like the first time I ever picked up a controller.
Oh, right. You said you were 4, so like it was like year release.
Yeah, I was like, well, when our friend brought over Halo 1, he also had Halo 2. He's like, yo, guys, this new game just came out, but here's its first one. Let's play through it before we go through the second one. And then that's when the Flood nightmare happened. And then when I tried playing through Halo 2 on my own, I got lost during the Arbiter mission. But then I do distinctively remember the day that I figured out the path, and then I got to the next mission, which I cannot remember for the life of me. I can't remember the name, but then I was able to navigate the mission super well that I got to Quarantine Zone, which is the third to last mission, and or is Quarantine Zone second to last? Because no, does it go Grave Mine Court? Yeah, it goes Grave Mine, Quarantine Zone, Great Journey. I then got to Grave Mind, which then got me to Quarantine Zone, and then I got lost again. The first time I completed the Halo 2 campaign was probably 2006. Just because we didn't have an Xbox consistently, it had to be brought over to us. And then when my brother and his friend would like go out to like go to Taco Bell, or when his friend finally got a driver's license, they would go to the movies or whatnot, and they would leave their equipment, leave the equipment. They're like, "Yeah, you can play while we're gone." It's like, okay, cool. I've got like 3 hours to try and play something. And then finally, when my parents got me my Xbox, that's when they lost me.
Yeah.
That's when they lost me. That's they had a chance for their son to become a collegiate athlete or super smart college person. Nope, I'm a gamer.
Sorry,
I'm a game.
Mom. I'm too busy being so thick. Like,
Sorry,
I'm widowy hitting the gwitty on this a wheat weight
no,
now.
no, 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 no.
I
That came.
just beat the shit out of the
Hey,
Prophet of Twoof
Mac,
and hit the
Mac,
gwitty
Mac,
on his
Mac,
dead corpse.
Mac. That was
Oh,
teabagging. That was teabagging.
I know. I'm Gen
No,
Zing it for
the
jokes.
brain rot comes later.
The brain rot comes later. No, we gotta just throw it in there. It's just gotta
Oh
be
yeah.
forced in, just like how brain
It,
rot's forced into everything.
oh yeah. But Halo 2, so special. So special. And
My
it's
favorite
so
Halo.
it's it's the one that I find is the easiest just to go back into. It's just now back in the day, it looked really good, but now when I look back at it, like I've been spoiled by the Halo 2 anniversary cutscenes, but there are certain aspects of the cutscenes I don't like compared to the retro. I'll make one quick comparison because I do want to move on to my last bit. But for example, in Halo 2's original cutscene, when the Prophet of Truth says, "The weight of your heresy will stay your feet, but you shall be left behind," and his helmet with the halo, his crown with the halo ring on it, and it fades into Earth's moon, and then the camera pans to Cairo Station. In Halo 2 Anniversary, they just do a flat cut and not a fade cut. That is my biggest gripe. They do not fade, they do not copy the fade cut and then the camera pan to Cairo Station.
The only thing I don't like about the cutscenes is Miranda Keys looks weird to me.
She does.
I don't know
She
what
does.
it is, but I know I think she's modeled after an actress, and I don't think it's the actress that looks weird. I think they just did the actress dirty. Just did her
Yeah,
dirty.
they her actress does she doesn't look bad, but they made her actress gain like 6 pounds, like 6 or 12 pounds while playing Miranda.
Yeah, she just looks like so like uncanny. Is the best way I can put it. Like I think Johnson has the best character model in that game. Hell, even like the Marines on the bridge from the Scarab mission, like they look exactly like how you would expect them to look in modern day graphics. Like they're perfect. Like they look so good. Oh, those Blur did such a good job on those fucking cutscenes, man.
Oh yeah. Josh and I have had a distinctive conversation about Blur. He has so much good things to say about Blur, and that's valid because they did the Deadpool movie.
Oh, really?
Yes,
The first one or all of them?
the first one, as far as I know, the first one.
Wow, that's
But
cool. Like they did the CGI for Deadpool is what I'm
oh yeah,
assuming.
oh yeah, the whole thing. Yep.
Sweet, that's awesome. Hell yeah.
Definitely didn't take. It definitely took a little longer than 3 minutes to do all that stuff. But you know what? You know what didn't take 3 minutes, or you know what did take 3 minutes?
What?
So I love it when retro games can be speed ran. I love speed runs. I love watching my favorite games being beaten in significantly less time than I can do. Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Its world record is 3 minutes 52 seconds. Just under 4 minutes.
Oh, you didn't get what I was
They
doing.
do. Oh yeah, they do not leave the Kokiri Forest.
Really?
Not at all.
Oh, I think I've seen the speedrun actually.
They do not leave. Is it Kokiri Woods or what is it?
Kokiri Forest, I think, is the
Kokiri.
Kokiri.
Okay, yeah. They do not leave the Kokiri Forest. They do this elaborate thing just to get the shield and the sword, but then somehow they do a camera clip that forces them through the ground that hits the end credit trigger.
I love old games like that where like everything's just in one like play space, just separated by like teleporters basically and stuff. Like that's so
It's so
you
bizarre.
could just activate a cutscene by just walking into a section because it's trigger,
Or
just
or
like
like Super Mario
proximity
64
based
where
trigger.
or like Super Mario 64 where the hub world is like it's the paintings is the teleporter. The hub world is nearly the end of the game,
Yeah.
and the clips that they can do to manipulate getting through Bowser's door, insanity.
Have you
I love it.
seen the Emiru skip where she like button mashes the backwards jump up the stairs for
Oh my god, I
that
love that.
shit's crazy.
I, I've
Speedruns
definitely
are
seen a
awesome.
couple. I've definitely seen a couple animations of that where they take his butt cheeks and make it go. It's a little odd to throw that in there, but I feel like I just had to. And it's crazy because
Oh yeah, you're talking about like the face, like where you can like move the face around and stuff.
I think so.
Yeah, and then they
I,
just
j-
put his
I
cheeks there instead.
oh yeah, but I don't know what the world record is for Halo 2's speed run. I forget Halo CE. I think Halo CE can be beaten in like
I want
20
I
minutes.
want to know what the legendary speed run for Halo 2 is
You know what? Let's find out. Let's let
because
this be the
legendary makes certain strats impossible to do. Like I think grenade jumping is almost impossible.
yeah, because it does like so much extra damage to you. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm gonna make this the last little piece of information we run or
Before
find
we
out.
end it,
Oh yeah, let's finish off with. Okay, let's take some bets. Okay, what do you think? Oh, I was gonna bet too, but now I see it. Okay, what do you think the Halo 2 speedrun for legendaries time is?
6 hours roughly.
As of August 28th, 2023, it is 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, okay, that's a lot better than I thought.
And I can tell you his segments are
Well, good job,
so
man. I'm proud of you.
he he completed Armory in 34 seconds, Cairo Station 3 minutes 13, Outskirts 7 minutes 30, Metropolis 12 minutes 4 seconds, Arbiter 1703, The Oracle 20 minutes flat, Delta Halo 32:39, Regret 36:05, Sacred Icon 36:35 or 30 or 46:35, uh, Quarantine Zone 55:41, Gravemind 1 hour 3:31, Uprising 1:11:27, High Charity 1:13:39, and then I'm just gonna stop saying the mission names because it's a mouthful. And then 1:16:27, 1:18:55, 1:26:27 credits. So those are the splits, but that doesn't directly say how fast each mission was. But those were each like final time completion, and that's insanity.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I know some speedruns can be incredibly short just because of how some games are built. My nose is so itchy
Well,
tonight. Like I keep fucking scratching it. I
what's
gotta
itchy?
my nose. I gotta freaking shave my mustache or
It is
trim my
no shave
mustache.
November. Mac.
Or trim my
It is
mustache.
no.
That's why I said trim my mustache because
It is no. It
it's
is
going
no
the
shave
opposite
November.
way. It's going the opposite way.
You cannot touch anything for the whole month of November.
Well, I
I've
can
done.
shave the beard. I just have to keep the mustache.
I've done nothing. I've let just the pure disgustingness go for the whole month.
So should I just go just mustache or just grow it all out? Oh, because I've had the beard pretty long, like almost wizard length before. Like
So
it's already
take
pretty
your
long right now. Like
take your razor, your shaver, and just go right in the middle. And just go. Give yourself a nice.
I always do that because if I don't, then I feel like I can pull off a goatee. So I'm like, nope, just to get rid of the temptation, just
Nope, you need to do the Captain Price mutton chops. Well, I tell you what,
That's a
folks.
good idea.
Oh yeah, I tell you what, folks. I think now is a very good time to pack it up because now I want to have an off-camera discussion about Mack's shaving choices. Right, right now would be an amazing time to have a sponsor known as uh, who's the shaving sponsor?
Manscaped.
Man,
I actually own a lawnmower 2.0.
right,
It's actually
right
funny.
there, right there would have been a perfect segment for this segment of the podcast is sponsored by Manscaped.
Yeah, we are not
Um,
sponsored, by the way. Just so you know, we are definitely not sponsors.
we're practicing for when they do give us a sponsorship.
Mm.
But with that being said, thank you so much for listening to our Yap session for today. We hope to see you on the next week's episode. And again, when this episode is released, thank you to all those who served and have a. How do you say for Remembrance Day? How do Canadians say it?
You're talking about the lest we forget.
Yes.
Lest we forget.
See, okay. See, we got to get the localization down here. But as said, lest we forget, thank you for your service. Thank you all for watching. Consider subscribing with a notification bell on. Go down to the description and check out our other episodes. Go down to the comments for whatever you would like for us to see. Give us suggestions. Comment about what you see. And we hope to see you on the next episode. So this has been Godroll. I've been Ian.
I've been Mac, and comment your favorite retro game down below.
Oh yeah, we want to hear it. Thank you all so much for watching.
Bye.